Hey guys, so I'm really excited to bring in Keith Markun, one of the funniest guys, one of the smartest guys in the wildlife industry, guys. We're gonna have a little discussion here. So Keith, you're doing something amazing for this industry, and we've never had this discussion before, but when I heard about elevated tasks coming out, it made me go back to the days when I had my business, and I had a situation, and years and years ago, we could sell well, right? And so I sold a bird job at like a 35-story building, and we didn't really know how to do the work, but we sold the job. And this was years and years ago, and I remember we came out to do the safety, and they had the cranes that come off the top, and we didn't know how to use them. And so I'm strapped in, I'm hanging down the side of this building, installing a shock track. And it was the first like big job I had ever actually like done. And then we had a whole team and we had some advisors on it. And I remember I was scared shitless. But I knew I had to get the job done. And so when I saw elevated tasks, when you guys started this process, I went, dude, this didn't exist when I had my business.
Precisely.
And now, I mean, it didn't exist for anybody, right? And so what made you start to think about this? Like tell me about elevated tasks and like what made you think about it together?
Well, I'd say it's a combination of many different things, originating, say, 20-something years ago when I used to do high-rise window washing and non-destructive testing off of rope descent systems, so hanging off the side of buildings.
Yeah.
And I always still incorporated that into all my wildlife businesses over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And obviously I got far away from window washing and any of that stuff. But there's always that same portion that would integrate into whether it's birds or bats or sometimes even flying squirrels or raccoons way up high in messed up areas. So I created sort of a niche for myself. And then I started getting into training other people because they thought it was cool, interesting, or how do I become safer, or how do I use these different apparatuses and rope things, and what type of programs is out there for me to come and join or learn about. So I went to more training, and then I started getting involved into, well, that's the product side of the ropes and the apparatuses and the harnesses. But then how do you use them properly? And some trainings are better than others across the US, online, in person, you name it. But then the OSHA comprehension was another issue. Half the people don't even realize you got to have A, B, and C for these workers to legally, because it's federal mandates, go up and over the roof. And then I started looking and researching into it more with the OSHA mandates and the federal guidelines and systems. What else is needed? Ladders, steep pitch roof, low slope roof, just general harnesses. Everybody has to be properly trained, fitted, just like with fit testing for PPE and respirator masks. So then I started looking into the pest and wildlife industries. There's nobody out there just trained for that. You got the towers climbers people. You got the windmill people that do rope descent systems. You have general overview, OSHA 30, OSHA 10, construction trade, general industry, things that just focus on only ladder safety for mostly just ladder manufacturer companies, which is fine, but they're only talking about the basics and they're only discussing those products.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that encompassed everything and tailor-made for this industry. And the first presentation that I did with Chris and Susan Sims, can't remember how many years ago, at another wildlife expo for NACOA, an MPMA, was a big hit. Huge room, packed. Everybody took away something from it. There's questions galore. They asked, are you going to do it next year? So we did that consecutive couple of years in a row for presentations because we kept getting asked. And then I went to Pest World, did one there for Working into Heights. And then it just grew from there and blossomed. And I said, well, if nobody else is going to do it, might as well do it. So I invested more time and more money taking more trainings from other places across the U.S. and OSHA training so I could become kind of like the train-the-trainer type courses. Yeah. So I could feel confident in my own skills and knowing that I'm teaching the correct things from a federal level to say, hey, if you don't want to get in trouble, not only for your safety, not having guys fall off of things, roofs, ladders, you name it, but also to save you thousands of dollars in possible issues and mishaps if the OSHA dude happens to randomly come by your job site, here it is laid out for you. And then it slowly evolved into this. Unfortunately, Susan Sims passed away last year after lots of complications from their initial ladder accident, which is why one of the reasons why the Wolf Foundation was oriented. So that's also got a couple slides and talk about that inside of the Working at Heights training too. If you can afford to give to Wolf, do it. If it will be beneficial for you, it's there as a resource. That's more for like 1 to 2 owner operators or 1 to 2 technicians in the field kind of thing that don't necessarily have the resources in case there is a catastrophic event.
So let me ask you this, because we have dealt with, over the years in our consulting business, we've dealt with so many accidents, and I feel in wildlife side, on pests, I mean all over, right? But I feel like in the last, call it, I don't know, 18 months or so, I feel like we've dealt with a lot more litigation around it and a lot more fines and stuff that we typically didn't see as much. And so, I mean, are you seeing operators as they go through these programs, deploying it to their people? Are you seeing, like, are they already talking about how it's creating a greater safety? Are they getting feedback? Because I mean, like, what kind of feedback are they getting?
All the feedback is primarily positive. The only downside to implementing anything you should be implementing already is, oh crap, I didn't realize what I was doing was wrong, or I could be fined for it, or I was teaching these other guys incorrectly, is what I hear the most of. As far as any negative feedback, everything else is just positive. Like, man, now I know this, and this. I guess another negative feedback thing is now we have to spend a lot of money on equipment.
Yeah.
Like equipment that we didn't think we needed before. But I always say whether it's $1 or a $500 harness, $1 or $500 X amount of piece of equipment, is still cheaper than the $10,000 OSHA violation fine and a kick in your workers' comp, or a guy falling off the roof breaking something or dying. All that's cheaper than it. And now your team also sees that you're investing in them. That makes your team stronger. They work harder, they work better. It allows them now to work faster to where they can make more money for themselves and your company. So it's a win-win. But just like with any of these training programs everybody has, it's a matter of investing in your future, investing in your team, your processes. It's just another one of those processes that you talk about. Mine's just only safety oriented.
Is there, so, I mean, I don't know if this is I don't know if there's a mathematical equation on this, but if I'm an operator, 2 or 3 guys, like, what is it really, roughly, does it really cost if you said, hey, take it all the way, buy the right equipment, your dream about how it should look, like, how much does it really cost the company?
Yeah, so if I still own a couple wildlife companies, and I let the guys pick out what they're most comfortable with as far as the equipment themselves. I don't sell any equipment. I don't sell any of the products. So I'm not invested to make money off of going, this is the best harness, or this is the best whatever. So per individual technician in the field, and this will be starting from scratch.
Like completely scratch.
I got no safety equipment whatsoever, aside from ladders. Anything for steep pitch roof systems. Steep pitch roof meaning anything over a 412 pitch and above is the way OSHA defines it. Full body harness, attachment points, lanyards, vertical lifeline, horizontal lifelines, anchor points, fasteners. I could probably be all in anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 per technician.
Oh,
Get everywhere along the roof line of any steep pitch roof, and most of the systems will also work for flat, low slope roofing, like on a commercial facility like this hotel.
I mean, it is. It's been a long time since I've looked at the math, and that's so negligible for a company to spend that money. Like,
it's going to cost you 5 times more than that in OSHA violation. Hopefully, maybe it'll cost you exactly that if you can talk the OSHA violation down, like I know some people have. They'll hit you with the 10 or 20K fine. And if you abide by stuff and you purchase equipment and properly train your guys, sometimes if you're nice enough to them, you can get that amount reduced by like 80, 90%. But either way, you're buying the products and training the guys, but now you got tagged with violation and you're paying a fine and workers' comp.
So we saw 2 years ago, and that stuff happens all the time, but 2 years ago, we had a client who's in an area where they have really the steep roofs, and he was not harnessed in. He had a tie, like some type of a tie down. I don't know what they call it, but if they throw the weight on the other side and they hang off the side, and it broke. And he didn't have a harness on, but he's holding on like this thing, and he fell. He broke his leg, broke his ribs. OSHA finds him, and then he sues the company.
Adding insult to injury.
$630,000 was the payment, and this company was about a $3 million business, and they lost. And ultimately, insurance participated. The insurance company ultimately came back and said, didn't pay the whole thing. The company, it was a mess. But I sit there and think about $2,500. Like, this is stupid.
And they could have saved all that mess if they would have just properly trained the employee. We have the third-party training. That's what we do.
Exactly.
Train the employee after they pass a test, knowing that they're a credible person, they're responsible, they paid attention, they soak the information in, they pass the test. Then they get a certification saying, you went over all these key subjects and points, and they're familiarized. They're now the competent person, as far as OSHA is concerned.
Yeah.
Competent person can mean a lot of different things, but as far as it goes with the working at heights in these aspects on this certificate, that's good for X amount of years. Now they're competent in that. So now that's step one of any technician in the field that's on ladders and roof systems. Then step two is now you have to purchase the equipment for that individual technician. Here you go. Here's all the stuff you learned. Here's the stuff that you're going to use, properly fit, properly use it. Now you have all that up here. Go forth into the world and let's all make money together getting animals out. Now, if they have a problem, they're not using the stuff, they fall and hurt themselves. Now, you're not only not going to get an OSHA fine, you're also not going to get sued from that guy either, because you did every step you could take. That's also mandated by federal law that everybody's supposed to be doing, but lots of people do not. And that's another reason why we wanted to create this whole training course, is for those instances. There's too many people doing that. And it's just because, I didn't know we had to do that. The part of the employer is to provide that stuff for the employees out in the field.
So if we shifted gears on this, because that's the training, right?
Yep.
Is there a concept? Because I think about how do you make money with it, right? And because we're talking about saving money, I think about how do you make money on some of this stuff. So, And so the way I think about it is that, and I'm sure you're doing this already, if somebody goes through elevated tasks, they get a certificate, whatever that looks like.
Keep going.
And so they get certificates, whatever it looks like. Have you had an instance where you guys are going to go out and sell a big job and you're using the certification as part of the sales proposal?
Mm-hmm.
What is the feedback been from the buyer? Like, does that help the buying decision to say, look, our guys are going to be safe on your property. This is the proposal. This is why we're proposing these dollars. Are you seeing a big benefit there?
Just like was saying, you're certified in many different things.
Yeah.
Or I happen to have insurance coverages through Christian Baker Company that's way up here. And this guy does not have Christian Baker and doesn't have all the same coverages that me as a professional wildlife control operator has. It's going to cover A, B, and C, and I have higher coverages than this guy.
Yep.
It's basically going to be viewed at and looked at the same.
Yeah.
I have proper training for my guys that covers all these different aspects of working at heights to take care of this bird problem on this facility. And Seth over here with this crusty ass, half-eaten
cake pop
ball. Over here, he's like, well, no, my guy, yeah, we sat through a OSHA 10 that lots of construction guys sit there. And OSHA 10 is fine, it's great, and it covers a lot of different things, but for specifically working at heights, doing stuff in the wildlife industry, this one looks a lot better. If I told you right now you want to take a bite out of one, you're probably going to want the brand new one inside of there, right?
Probably.
Not the old crusty one that's already been half eaten.
Same thing.
Same thing. I want this higher insurance rates, not lower. I want the properly trained guys, not the improperly trained guys. And if they look at what it is training wise, you're comparing apples and oranges. Let them be the ones to do it. I know guys that have sold more projects because of all these certifications that they have, the training that they took.
So we've gotten one of the things we've gotten into over the years.
This is mine, though. I'm taking this back.
You want that one? I mean,
right here. This is mine.
From Milwaukee.
I'll
right?
let you lick on it.
From
later.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, from Milwaukee.
So I would say this: one of the things we've gotten into as a habit, when we on incredibly large projects, unrelated to wildlife, but in general, is that we look at the RFPs. We've been going back and saying, look, your RFP looks like it's outdated. Let us redraft this for you. And what we've been doing for operators is we're actually drafting the certifications that they have as requirements as part of the RFP. I would see taking elevated tasks, if I'm a bird control operator, if I'm a big wildlife, going after a big wildlife job, and making it a requirement of the RFP and offering to them to rewrite their RFP and making it a requirement. And that way we eliminate the competition immediately.
Yeah. It's the same thing that they did in, I want to say it's the state of Virginia.
Yep.
And NACOA's been trying to do it for many years. Back when I was on the board, I think Virginia was the only state, they might have more now, to where you have to take the NACOA bat standards course.
Yep.
In order to do bats in that state.
Yep.
Because it's like, here's a training that makes sense, that's catered towards doing this, and everything looks kosher and legit. So in order to even do work in that state for bats, here's the course. And if they mandated that, and we do have government mandates, federal mandates for stuff, but it's such a broad overview. Some of the stuff will touch base on these things, but is it what's best for the team? Is it what's best for the employee? And is it what's best for properly training them too? You can spend more money on several different trainings than what I supply in the elevated task course for anybody working at heights and get less knowledge from it. So I'm packing all this knowledge in a nice, I say bite size, but it's, 8-hour course for the one day. We got 2-day hands-on courses, rope descent system courses. So kind of tailored towards your needs and what you do as a company. Like, oh, you do more of this versus that. Let me tweak a bit and cater it more towards you guys to help you guys be safer, obviously doing those projects, but also make more money quicker. You can make it quicker and easier.
Yeah, so you actually will go on to individual companies. Yep. You can go
so we'll do either a private training.
Yep.
If people go, I just want a closed door training session with A, B, and C, we can tailor that to them. And we also do subcontracting. So you get another job you sell that has birds you need to dangle from the side of the building, give your boy a call.
Yeah.
You make money, I make money. Yep. We get the job done right. There you go. And I work with many companies around the U.S., big, small. If you need certain insurance requirements, that's why I'm part of a big team right now.
Yep.
That's with the national. Can I say names of businesses?
Yeah,
on there?
yeah.
All right, Ballsack. I'm part of a. That's why I'm part of national teams and smaller teams. So I work with Farm Regard, Pest, Wildlife, doing the birds, and that allows us for any large insurance requirements, any weird federal contracting jobs, or as you know, half these projects that I know I'm going to be done this fiscal year, but we're not getting paid because it's a federal entity until X amount of time.
Yeah.
Stuff gets drawn out and most smaller companies can't absorb that amount. Well, working with Farm Regard allows me to deal with all the big stuff.
Yeah.
And then any of the smaller stuff, or it's outside of the realm or the territory area. I also have North Georgia and North Carolina, Bigfoot Wildlife Solutions. That luckily, I'm fortunate enough to have a team that can manage that. So I'm pretty much hands off unless it's a big project. And then this elevated task. So I have all of it
tied together,
helping each other out.
So let me ask you a question on a whole different subject for a second.
Yeah.
I think people would be very interested in this. So you've been in this industry for a long time. What's the most complicated or unique job you've ever seen?
Well, some of the coolest jobs that they're the coolest jobs, the most awesome jobs are typically the more difficult. You got to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And it's stressful while you're doing it, but then you walk away and you look up and you go, wow, I was really proud I could accomplish that. I'd say it'd be anything, either working at heights, dangling from ropes, or anything working over water. So a couple memorable ones would be
Cool.
the large bird netting I was able to work on as a sub with my buddy Ryan Hall,
Yeah.
that owns Animal Pros out of Tennessee. We did a project in Florida for the Gasparilla Swing Bridge. So if you drive
cool.
a boat underneath it, you look up, that's our netting that we did there.
Dude, how high? That's high as shit.
It's not that, well, that bridge isn't that high, but it was above, I mean,
Hanging above water.
we saw dolphins. Like if I were to jump in, it would probably hurt if I went face first, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's cool. And then the bridge gets to move around you get boats. It's one of those, you're hot and sweaty, it's summertime in Florida. But we saw smooth dolphins going around there. It was nice. It was fun. But it was nasty, greasy underneath those bridges with the moving parts. I got to work above trains. So working above trains on train trestles and stuff.
That's pretty
like netting
interesting.
stuff and sometimes lasers. Hanging off the side of buildings, skyscrapers over in North Carolina. Downtown Charlotte has a new Lowe's building. We put shock track way up there.
Yeah.
So you get to walk on 1.5 foot wide I-beams installing stuff, but you're tethered off the entirety of the time. We just did a job for Varmint Guard last year in northern part of Florida where we had to be on floating water that was alligator infested and get bats out from underneath the road bridge. All these things, there's like many days or weeks of planning, getting all the stuff you need together, getting more than you think you need,
For sure.
just in case, so you're not caught off guard with your pants down. But you don't want to get caught off guard, when you're on these projects. So you bring more than you need stuff. So you typically always end up with extras, leftovers for the next project. But it's those big ones, and you got to get several people on site. Now you're managing the people, the type of structure you're working on. How am I the access points of everything? That's the fun side of wildlife control, because I've done for years just residential until I started getting into commercial. And I go, wow, yeah, I got to think outside the box for this. I like this. Not every job is the same. There's a lot of nuances, but you do miss some of the residential small stuff. Simple, dead animal smell that they smell inside of a house is fun to be a detective
And find it. Yeah.
put your detective hat on, Sherlock Holmes it. Memorable would be the one that's, she called, she thought it was a dead squirrel. Turns out the husband took a grumpy inside of the toilet and forgot to flush it for a couple days in the summer. And they left the house, they came back, they thought it was a dead squirrel. It was a poo,
That's
a human poo. But you get a couple $100 to go, oh, there it is, better flush. Thanks, that'll be blah, blah dollars, appreciate it.
That's hilarious.
So and stuff like that you don't get with the commercial side too much. That's the quirky, weird, individual people are weird kind of stuff I do miss. But the day in, day out, another ridge vent, or another gable. It grows older, after many years of doing it day in, day out. But then the joys of growing business and teaching those people. So I took a little of my training from teaching, up to 15, 20 something employees at any given time, moving from your technician to your manager hat, moving from your manager to your owner hat, stacking it up. Now I could take on the bigger, larger industrial projects,
the best.
taking those on. And then I slowly just started fading away from doing any of the residential stuff myself, invested enough in my team, and any questions they had to me, they can still bring to me. But now I'm doing that from my bed,
Yeah.
or when I'm on vacation with the family, in a place like Orlando.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let me FaceTime you for 5 minutes. Yeah, go do that. That makes the most sense there. Okay, thanks, bye.
Get back to
Being
living life.
able to have that comfort now in the life that I'm in currently wouldn't train it for anything in the world. So the training just evolved. And now I get to train other businesses and individuals.
It's actually pretty remarkable, honestly.
It's fun.
What you guys are doing. So, well, let's do this, man. Like, so there's a couple thousand people who end up watching this, right?
Yeah.
And people are inspired by you. You
That many people pay your OnlyFans fee?
dude.
Jeez.
My OnlyFans.
Oh, that's right. For your fans, do we got to show some feet?
Your feet? Yeah, your feet finders,
you go.
guys.
Feet finders.
Wait, dude. You wear those kind of socks?
Today, I had SpongeBob ones on yesterday.
I mean,
And then I had my Spock socks that went all the way up.
I guess those are kind of tough guy socks.
Well, you should see my underwear.
I mean, you can show everybody if you want.
Not on this. How much are you going to pay the OnlyFans fee?
Well, I mean, we're trying to get subscribers, right?
Well, you're going to lose subscribers if you get that.
So real quick, man. I appreciate you doing this with me today. So people want to hear from you. So like, what would be one thing you would say to inspire someone trying to get into this industry, or some of these guys going for it? Like, just maybe something that you thought about as you've been through this, because outside of the funny games, like these people, like these are their livelihood and they love it, right?
Yeah.
So what's something you could tell everybody that you think would inspire them?
Well, I'd say try to stay positive with everything you can do. You're never going to make 100% of the people happy. You're always going to have some down in dumps people, but if you keep that positivity level around any of your teammates, whether it's at the office or out in the field or even on the phone, talk like you're really good at putting on a smile, even talking on the phone, or you're having a bad day. You know, I'm constipated. You know, my hemorrhoids act up, whatever the case may be, that's not working for you that particular day or hour. Just trying to put on that happy face as much as you can. Positivity spreads a long way. And if they see, like, and if you're training your own people or you're in charge of training somebody, even if you got to fake it during that duration of being happy, nobody wants to be trained by somebody that's sad. Nobody wants, you know, it's not memorable. They're not going to enjoy themselves as much. So keep uplifting one another's spirits. That's the biggest takeaway that I've learned in 20 years of this and other businesses that have success and thrived, is because you keep that momentum going. I see what I did there? Momentum. You keep that rising up to the top. Like Seth is a cream that rises to the top. Like Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah, brother, that cream that rises to the top.
So, man, well, I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for your time.
Man. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You guys have an awesome day.